Good evening, welcome. Now officially called to order our regular scheduled meeting for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Hope everybody had a wonderful, enjoyable Labor Day yesterday and back at it, hitting things hard now this week. And you know, this weather right now is a little bit of a tease like it's fall, but it's going to be 90 degrees by the end of the week, and so hotter the better right there in that. But thank y'all all for being here tonight. Our first order of business is going to be our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Commissioner Charlie Adcock to lead us in our invocation, and Justin Rivesthal, our division chief with the fire department, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance tonight. So if you would please stand.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings that we have. Thank you that we are able to come and meet together as a community to do help us to do your will, Lord, for this town. Give this board wisdom and give our community wisdom as we move forward together. Lord, we do thank you for the beautiful weather that we've had, and we just thank you for everything you've done for us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next order of business is our meeting protocol. At this time, I ask Town Manager Mitchell to review the meeting protocol for public participation as it relates to this meeting. Adam, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Board. It's good to be with you tonight. Tonight's Town Board meeting is both in person and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Tonight's meeting contains a public comment period and 4 scheduled public hearings. The public is invited to comment in person. When it is the appropriate time, Mayor Massengill will call on those wishing to address the Town Board. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the Town Board during the public comment period should provide your name and address on the green registration sheet by the podium prior to the public comment period beginning. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the Town Board during a scheduled public hearing should provide your name and address on the white registration sheet by the podium. We ask all those wishing to address the Town Board, either during a public comment period or scheduled public hearing, to begin their comments by clearly stating their name and address for the public record. The public is asked to keep all comments to 3 minutes so that all that wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. To be respectful of those that may have different views on matters addressed by the Town Board, we ask that all in attendance respect the decorum of the meeting by refraining from clapping, making loud noises, and generally showing support or displeasure for comments made during the public comment period or public hearings. Police Chief Smith will be asked to escort from the boardroom anyone not respecting the process, and it is the discretion of the mayor as presiding officer of the meeting to continue the public comment period and or public hearing period if the meeting protocol is not followed. This concludes the protocol for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Manager. Next item of business is the approval of the minutes from the August 19th, 2025 Town Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting. Any changes or additions to the minutes? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4A, presentation, library park design concepts. More information about this item will be presented by Parks and Recreation Director Cox. Jonathan, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Board. Hope all is well. The purpose of this agenda item is to present 2 draft concepts for Library Park for future consideration. Town staff have been working with Site Collaborative to develop 2 concepts for improvements at Library Park located at 116 South Aiken Street. The 2 options are designed to activate the space and complement the downtown area. Tonight's presentation is for informational purposes only. No action is required. Following the presentation of the plans tonight, the proposals will be available on Let's Talk FV for a period of public comment. After evaluating public comments, plans will be reviewed and a final presentation and recommendation will be presented to the town board for approval. At this time, I'd like to introduce Graham Smith with Site Collaborative to present the draft concepts.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Happy to be here. Graham Smith, Site Collaborative, landscape architecture firm based in Raleigh. So this is what we do and what we love doing, so appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys on Library Park. A little bit about the timeline. Started in the spring that you guys can see there. Through the spring, we did a kind of an in-depth site analysis, did some site visits, did several conceptual draft schemes, ideas. So you'll see 2 here today, but there were multiple other schemes kind of worked out, variations of what have been turned into the 2 preferred. We worked through getting some revised drafts to Jonathan and the team in June, and they took it to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board early June, and then since then we've gotten a little bit more feedback and we've done a little bit of refinement, but those are the 2 preferred concepts that you'll see tonight. Some of the current site conditions, if you've been there, it's a very small site, right? So it's 3/4 of an acre or less, essentially. And to the south is Raleigh Street and has an existing sidewalk. It's just to the east of the service area of the library restaurant, right? So the restaurant that's been in that renovated building. It is to the south of the existing Ashworth Park. You'll see that kind of that square object in the middle. That's an old play element that's been sitting there. But you'll see some, so it's graphically it's a little weird. The bright red on the bottom, the south side, we do have some challenges with that. That's a private sanitary sewer easement. And on the south side, on the east side, number 2 there, you'll see kind of there's a lot of trees, existing trees. Most of them are pine trees though, and also some sloped. It's kind of the more significantly sloped area. And then when you get back to the west side, it does have access kind of behind the library, but also through that parking lot. And that's where kind of it starts to kind of really engage with downtown in a lot of ways. You'll see people there on a Saturday kind of meander over with their coffee or things like that from a nearby coffee shop. And then the services there, that parking lot is filled during the week with DMV and other services in that area. So it's kind of, that's a really active corner, and as well as Aiken and Raleigh Street is the other active corner. Concept 1 is a mini golf scheme, and with this you'll see, speaking of that activation, item 10 and 8 and 10 are there. 10 is somewhat imagined as the check-in hub, so kind of thinking about, that's the highest spot in the site. That's about 10 feet higher than the southeast corner down at Raleigh and Aiken Street. So you have 10 feet of drop across the site. Things happen. In that way, in this concept, we're really trying to activate people coming in with the coffee and the social district type elements, things like that. We've proposed a large shade area, a check-in for the golf and restrooms, and also kind of a controlled access point. So when you do mini golf, you want to controlled access. You can't just be a free form, open forum. You do have to put a fence and security situation in. We've worked out 9 holes here. We tried 18, and it gets really not really doable in a situation like this, given the topography that we have the 10 feet of grade, given the challenges of access, and given some other things that we're trying to do with the sewer easement along the south side as well. But we did put in some little park elements on both streetscapes, on Aiken Street as well as Raleigh Street. We put in some little seating areas because there is some community, as Jonathan has kind of witnessed and the team have witnessed, there are students that come over and use it, and there are people that want to use the space for not just mini golf. If this were to turn into mini golf, the idea that you could have your lunch there or do some study breaks or things like that. So that was kind of the idea of the little parklets on the east and south sides there. You will notice a fence and a retaining wall in the concept as well. Here's some precedent photos. Once again, this is a high-level master plan, so we're not down in the final design at all. These are still concept level. So these are not of this site, right? These are precedents around the country. And you can start to see how, a train element could be incorporated different ways. Mini golf has really taken kind of new leaps in a lot of different ways, some unique elements. But it's still artificial grass, and have to have bumpers and stuff like that to keep the balls in. That's kind of the main theme with that. We did some cost estimating, once again, very high level, but built in a lot of contingencies, built in, different things that we know. This is what we do every day is park construction or park design. So it comes in at about 2.5 million in that concept, as you saw. Concept 2 is more of a traditional, more of a urban plaza in a way. And this is a plaza that in this situation, the restrooms, number 10, have been relocated on the south side, kind of tucked up against the service side of kind of balancing out with the service side of the library, their back service area with some hedges there. We still have a gateway element up at the parking lot. Number 8 is noted as kind of a shade structure gateway element, kind of an icon element to draw you to the park. And in the middle, we have this idea of a water element, possibly with a water wall. Because once again, we're trying to break up grade, so we have to go 10 feet down from the parking lot down to the southeast corner, get down to Raleigh and Aiken, that intersection, as we're trying to navigate that and get people through the site with stairs and ADA accessibility. 2 other key elements, though, is the purple area to the north, which is proposed as a play zone, right? There's a climbing wall area. There's maybe some climbing balls or nubs or things like that. I'll show you some photos, some hills that we can do with some play surface. And then number 2 is imagined as a community lawn. So we've talked about that as maybe a large community lawn, flat space, gently sloping, a place where there's a little bit of movable furniture. So it's got a little more free form with the furniture than the mini golf. It's got a little more adaptability to the grade as well in this situation. Here's some conceptual, some precedents of what it could be. You see the water wall elements in the upper left there, what this could be. Some of the climbing wall elements in the center, up at the top. Some of those nubs and hiding spots and climbing spots. So a little less traditional playground. So we didn't want to just put a playground element there and kind of buy an off-the-shelf item. We thought we could do something more unique and actually save some dollars for the town as well. So, but still manipulate the ground plane. You can see some of the ideas of community lawn and shade as well, and just people gathering at certain specific tables. Cost estimate for this is $210,000, $220,000 cheaper than the mini golf, just because the elements of construction for the mini golf and some of the fencing and expected grade manipulation we'd have to do to kind of hold that higher up and do the retaining wall on the mini golf idea. As kind of just to wrap up the idea of considerations, the mini golf is incredibly unique, and that's the exciting part of that. There aren't a lot of those around from an outdoor component, from a municipal standpoint, which is exciting. The idea that, though, it is going to have to be fenced and gated for security because you do want to control access, and you want to generate revenue and or at least control who's coming in and out. It would have to be a staffed facility. Because of how it operates, essentially. The plaza itself, some of the considerations there, it does, as I noted, it allows for a little more informal gatherings, a little more flexible. Could put some movable furniture out there. It's just a larger space to kind of have different zones, essentially, for the public to kind of enjoy. Provide some flexibility also for structured events. So that was one thing early on that Jonathan and his team noted was, well, if we did some structured events, if we did some programmed events, if we did, what are those? Are those Thursday night events? Are those Saturday morning events? Or are those just seasonal events? But the idea that where could they happen? And so that lawn space and that restroom and kind of that central corridor could allow for that to happen in the plaza. With that, as Jonathan noted, the next steps will be posted online. So the Let's Talk for public comment, and then we'll come back in probably a couple meetings time, and we'll come back with some present a recommendation with staff. So, and I'm here for questions. So I think
any suggest. I think both of them are neat concepts, and I know the board has discussed a mini golf concept. Obviously, that's why I went down this path right here, and it's something unique and different that other surrounding communities don't have, and look forward to the public having feedback in regards to that. A few questions or comments with it. What steps can be done so that it can be open but not staffed, or only staffed during peak time, so that that'll help us on operating costs? Because if it's only open when it's staffed and we're limited when staff's there, Jonathan, any thoughts with that, how we can design it or create it so that it can?
Yeah, I'm sure with the level of investment that we're making, and if you're referencing the mini golf,
Yeah.
I think that we would want to staff that. One, checking out golf clubs and managing balls and trying to have some type of supervision. If we didn't have that level of supervision from a part-time standpoint, I think that we'd have a lot of damage out there, and we'd have a lot of broken clubs and other things along those lines. I think that we would really need to staff the golf component.
Do you think, so then if it's not any, so simple hours, I know to be determined later, but let's call it sun up to sundown, something simple, just for sake of conversation on that. Do you think you can staff it with existing staff or seasonal help, or what kind of positions do you think are
Yeah,
needed?
I think for the golf component, we can definitely staff that amenity or facility, just like we do the splash pad or other amenities in the summertime. That shouldn't be an issue.
And then would it be open year round?
It would be most likely weather dependent.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say probably early spring to late fall. And we'd have hours of operation similar to the splash pad.
Maybe
that
weekends
operates.
in the winter. And again, I'm not trying to get into weeds, but it does matter for, as we talk about the concept, you
Yeah,
know, on that.
Absolutely.
Maybe during the dead of winter, we're only open on weekends or something like that. But again, that's something we can discuss further down
Correct.
the
Yes.
road with that.
We'd try to provide as much flexibility and availability as possible.
That's right. Any thoughts or recommendations from either one of y'all about if we go to mini golf direction of how we can have a nice facility like this, but get that cost down?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten into final design or anything like that. The grading and the topography is the biggest challenge with that cost, as well as the fencing, the perimeter fencing. You know, and from a difference standpoint of the two. So we could maybe spread some of the holes out, work on topography. You got to provide an ADA accessible route, essentially. And the mini golf starts to limit some of your options because you're not allowed, you look at the plaza design, we're allowed to kind of separate some things and take a longer route this way and put stairs right here. So with the mini golf, you kind of have to stay in a circuit. So that tends to make us be somewhat close to a flat grade in a lot of ways. We can certainly manipulate it a little bit, but manipulating it all the way down to 10 feet is the hard part. So therefore, it leads to a lot of fill. Not saying the cost couldn't come down. Certainly don't want either one of these costs to go up a year from now when it's going to construction, right? So we're trying to be cautious at this point in our costing. So,
And I will add, during the proposed budget process, we could evaluate eliminating the water feature in both elements or concepts. We'd save somewhere between $300,000 to $400,000 if we were to take that water feature out of each concept. So
Well, I think
there are some cost saving opportunities.
I think it looks good, and it's an exciting idea. And then I go back to construction of neighborhoods and infrastructure cost, and what we're able to put on the ground for that same amount of money right there. And that's why I would challenge you to find ways we can get the costs down. I know it's public bid, and we know how this public bid process works with that. But I think, and we see board members want comments, so we're going to wait till they get public feedback. But I think if we do something there, it needs to be something neat and exciting. If it's not going to be something neat and exciting for the public right there, then it challenges the question of why we're doing anything at all right there. But then balance and pay for it. And I know with the plan, once we get public feedback and y'all come back with a recommendation, I'm sure Adam will have a recommendation at the same time on how we're going to pay for this, if that's the route that the public wants to go. So, okay. Well, thank y'all very much for this presentation. Any board members have any comments they need to add? Senior Assistant Manager Matthews.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to add that from the staffing standpoint, ultimately that's a programming decision from the board, and that could change over time as we see what demand is at different times of year, different days of the week, no different than we have reevaluated the opening hours for the splash pad and some of our other park facilities. It's what you're building is something that needs to be determined in design, but staffing is a decision that can be reevaluated and readjusted over time.
Thank y'all for the.
I just had a thought.
Go ahead,
So,
Mayor Pro Tem.
I wish we could kind of look at that whole area with the Ashworth Park and there, and how we can best include something for all ages in that area, and not. I mean, there's not a lot of, in either one of these plans, it doesn't seem to me there be a lot of place for little people to play or anything like that. And that is something that I think we've had people want at the history park, and it's kind of hard to do there too. But I just would like for it to be appealing to all generations in that whole area, not just, not just to, I'd like for there to be some kind of flow, I guess, from one of those features to another.
Mr. Mayor.
Manager.
Perhaps we can talk more about that offline. We intentionally did not incorporate the historic park into any of the concept planning and rendering for this, given that that might not be viewed favorably by those that are more focused on the museum piece of it. And so that was not, even though it is a town park, we thought that may be met with some opposition in terms of taking away from what has already been created on that site. To the point about generational use, one could argue that mini golf is for all generations, so young and old could participate and do that. As far as the plaza type, I think there are some concepts for some built-in play areas for for young and older children. So I think as far as the concepts that were prepared by site design, we have on the limited space that we actually focused on, we do have two options that take into consideration generational play and enjoyment. As far as expanding that to the historic park, it was sort of intentional that we did not do that because of the concern of it being met with opposition. If that is a direction that the board would like us to revisit, we could do that, but a rework of that park in addition, if that's what you were maybe suggesting, and maybe I was interpreting it wrong.
I don't know what I'm suggesting,
But
Adam,
a rework of that park and Library Park, while it would definitely give more flexibility for property usage, it may not align with what everyone who is more focused on the museum might think would be appropriate. Now, as our
what
park,
I really do like about it is from our town board retreat when we were, trying to just dream about, things that we could have when we want a downtown that is a destination for a lot of people, that has points of interest throughout the full plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really exciting that you got mini golf in there, because that would really that certainly honors what we were talking about at retreat.
Now, one of the things that we can look forward to further down the road is when we are in a position to execute on our Pineywood Park vision for our downtown. That gives us a great deal more flexibility to, in terms of allowable space, to be thinking of multiple ways that we can engage the community and get them excited about using that facility. But this particular project, it is limited in footprint unless we were to bring into the fold the historic park. But again, I think that's more of a conversation that y'all have got to decide. Is that really something you want to do, or do you want to just remain focused on Library Park, given that there may be strong viewpoints about whether you incorporate a rework of historic park into the overall plan or not? I just leave it there and let y'all.
It's exciting. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank y'all very much, gentlemen, for your time tonight. Appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor, what is the plan? Did I understand that this is going out for public feedback?
Talk about the time frame right there for us, some time frame of public
Starting
feedback.
tomorrow, both concepts will be available on Let's Talk FV for public comment. We'll leave those up for a few weeks. We will review comments and then make a recommendation to the town board. So we'll come back probably the first meeting in October with a recommendation with either concept 1 or concept 2.
Okay.
There's not a clear path forward either direction for me, and so I'm looking forward to getting feedback from the citizens.
I agree with that completely.
I do too.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick comment. I just remember from seeing a picture in the museum, there was a picture of a young lady holding a golf club with her mother, or maybe her mother holding it with her daughter, and which signified that at one point, many years ago, I don't know when, I haven't been able to find out a lot of information. There was a golf course in downtown Fuquay, I believe towards where Mineral Spring Park is, and that functioned for some time, and so it's kind of, preserving the past in that sense. Although I don't know a lot about that, I would have even known unless I saw that picture in the museum of the mother and child playing mini golf. So it's kind of neat to have that link to the past if that's the direction we go.
Look forward to public feedback. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Public comment period. At this time, the town clerk will call on individuals that are in attendance and have registered to address the town board prior to the meeting. The public comment period is a time for the public to address the town board about any matter that is not the subject of a scheduled public hearing. Those speaking are asked to begin by clearly stating your name and address for the public record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, or that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Town Clerk Wilder?
We have no one.
We have nobody signed up? Okay. Didn't miss anybody? Thank you. We have no items tabled from previous meetings. We will now be moving into public hearings. Public hearings are a time for the petitioner to present his or her request and for the public to give input and voice their favor or opposition to the request. If you wish to speak and are physically in attendance, please step forward to the podium one at a time. Provide your name and address on the registration log at the podium and clearly state your name and address for the public record. We ask all those addressing the town board to please limit your comments to 3 minutes in order that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Public hearing, item 7A, voluntary annexation petition, George T. Grigsby Jr. Heirs Trust, 5202 Spence Farm Road, ANX-2025-07. More information about agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davidson. Pam, good evening and welcome.
Good evening. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents in the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider approving an annexation ordinance extending the corporate limits of the town of Fuquay-Varina following receipt of a petition for voluntary annexation of property located at 5202 Spence Farm Road, owned by the George T. Grigsby Jr. Heirs Trust. The 20.5 acre parcel is non-contiguous to the town's corporate limits. Public water and sewer are currently unavailable to serve the subject property. However, both will be extended with development. A declaration is attached. A fire flow test nearby resulted in adequate fire flow, and town sanitation and recycling services are available to serve the residential properties. At the August 19th, 2025 meeting, the town clerk certified that the petition was sufficient and met the requirements prescribed by the North Carolina General Statutes, and the town board adopted a resolution setting a public hearing for tonight's town board meeting. The present value of the properties being annexed is $690,471. The suggested motion tonight is to adopt the annexation ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Fuquay-Varina to include property owned by the George T. Grigsby Jr. Heirs Trust, ANX 2025-07, and to approve the declaration of annexation as presented and recommended. I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions at this time? I don't think so. Thank you, Director Davidson. The hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the voluntary annexation petition? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the voluntary annexation petition? Hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? We entertain a motion so moved, so if liked.
Mr. Mayor, so move.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7B, zoning map amendment, Bob Wiggins, Mattamy Homes, 5202 Spence Farm Road, REZ-2025-05. More information about agenda item will be presented by Plan Director Davidson.
I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of 19.778 acres located at 5202 Spence Farm Road from the Office and Institutional Conditional Zoning District and Residential Agricultural Zoning District to the Planned Unit Development Zoning District. The subject property was rezoned to Office and Institutional Conditional Zoning District in 2017 as part of an expansion plan of the Southern Wake Academy Charter School, but that expansion has not come to fruition. The master plan is characterized by two different sized single-family lot types surrounded by activated green space. The associated master plan, narrative, and related plans identifies permitted uses, arrangement of uses, open space, thoroughfare networks, utilities, pedestrian networks, architectural design and standards, building layout, and landscaping. The elevations provided in the narrative serve to illustrate a variety of the committed facade element options that will be in addition to color palette variation. The requested zoning map amendment is consistent with the 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan and supports the following land use plan policies. Policy 3.1, to create a comprehensive, connected, and continuous network of green space. Policy 7.1, to establish a discernible neighborhood structure. Policy 7.2, to encourage transitional uses and intensities in around project boundaries. At the August 19th, 2025 regular meeting, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval. The suggested motion tonight is to approve REZ 2025-05, a zoning map amendment for 5202 Spence Farm Road, from the Office and Institutional Conditional Zoning District and Residential Agricultural Zoning District to the Planned Unit Development Zoning District as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. I'm available to answer any questions.
I don't see any questions at this time. Thank you, Director Davison. Hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment?
Thank you, Board. Josh Chenery, Mattamy Homes, 11,000 Regency Parkway, Cary, North Carolina. We just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. Thank you for the staff who's worked with us generously to create this plan. We feel that it's going to be a good fit for the community. We're excited to work both with the town and the neighbors. Really hadn't had any opposition to this plan and feel like this is going to be a really good thing for this neighborhood. With the connectivity to the school and extending the utilities to the site, we think it'll be great for the town. But we're thankful and grateful to be able to work with the town and looking forward to the project.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of the zoning map amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the zoning map amendment? Hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? We can entertain a motion so moved or a substitute motion.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing, item 7C, voluntary annexation petition, Malcolm E. Goodman, Jr. and Amy Jaeger, 8413 Fayetteville Road, ANX-2025-13. More information about agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davison. Pam, you're not done yet.
I'm not done yet. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents to the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider approving an annexation ordinance extending the corporate limits of the town of Fuquay-Varina following receipt of a petition for voluntary annexation of property located at 8413 Fayetteville Road, owned by Malcolm E. Goodman, Jr. and Amy Yeager. The .627 acre parcel is non-contiguous to the town's corporate limits. Public water and sewer are currently available to serve the subject property. A fire flow test nearby resulted in adequate fire flow. Town sanitation and recycling services are unavailable to serve the property, and a declaration to exclude the service is included. At the August 19th, 2025 meeting, the town clerk certified that the petition was sufficient and met the requirements prescribed by the North Carolina general statutes, and the town board adopted a resolution setting a public hearing for tonight's town board meeting. The present total value of the properties being annexed is $212,069. The suggested motion tonight is to adopt the annexation ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Fuquay-Varina to include property owned by Malcolm E. Goodman, Jr. and Amy Yeager, ANX 2025-13, and to approve the declaration of annexation as presented and recommended. I'm available for any questions.
I don't see any questions at this time. Thank you, Director Davison. Hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the voluntary annexation petition? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the voluntary annexation petition? Hearing is now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? Entertain a motion so moved or else.
Mr. Mayor, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7D, Town Code Amendment, Town of Fuquay-Varina Land Development Ordinance Amendment Number 30, CTA-2025-04. More information about agenda item will be presented by Planning Director Davison.
This is it for tonight. I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents in the official records of the town. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a proposed text amendment to the Town Code of Ordinances, Part 9, Land Development Ordinance, Amendment Number 30, that addresses several areas for improvement. The following list of proposed changes is a highlight of the most impactful items in the amendment, but if there's anything else you have questions on that I don't cover, please let me know. The term environmentally sensitive areas has been created to describe several different types of non-developable areas. The convenience store use has been added to the retail sales and service category, and the gas station use has been established in its place with improved development standards. A new type of projecting sign has been created, which encompasses both the blade sign and the suspended sign, as well as to allow for flexibility for multi-tenant and multi-floor buildings. An alternative layout for the Type C buffer has been created that would allow a brick or stone wall to replace a portion of the required planting. And the minimum lot width for townhouses has been standardized throughout the zoning districts where townhouses are permitted. At the August 18th, 2025 regular meeting, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval of the text amendment as presented by staff. The suggested motion tonight is to approve CTA 2025-04, Amendment 30, an amendment to the Town Code of Ordinances, Part 9, Land Development Ordinance, as presented and recommended by staff. The text amendment improves upon the Land Development Ordinance and is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by management and staff. I am available if you have any questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Harris.
if I may, I just have a question about Article N as far as parking, loading, and lighting design. I just have a couple of questions. Could you talk about I didn't understand the required parking bays for a project via administrative adjustment and the change or upgrade in the percentage there. What does that mean?
So right now, we have, if you would like to have reduce your parking, you can do it at 10% reduction via an administrative adjustment or 15% reduction by coming to the town board. We felt that it would be more appropriate to do 15% adjustment. We've been trying to integrate more opportunities for flexibility and innovative design through the administrative adjustment process, through justification. And instead of having that two-step process that they would bring a 15% reduction request to the town board, that staff would be available through the administrative adjustment process to do that, to 15% instead of a 10 and 15.
So that would be something that would be decided in-house among staff rather than having to come to a full board to make that decision.
Yes, the administrative adjustment process, there are kind of 4 justifications that they have to offer, kind of what the challenge is, why it would still meet the intent of the code. So they have to provide those justifications as well as exhibits and examples to demonstrate that what they're proposing still meets the intent of the code, but maybe through an alternative method.
Okay, so what that does is streamlines the process so that if there was a concern, you wouldn't have to come before the full board to be approved. It could be done in-house and expedite the process.
And it also recognizes that, even if you say commercial uses, across the board, commercial uses are a pretty wide variety of uses. And so we, while we try to have various different parking standards and regulations, sometimes a quick service restaurant and a sit-down restaurant both technically qualify in our parking standards as food service, but they might have very different needs for parking and staffing and things like that. So this gives them a little more flexibility and wiggle room in those standards. Most businesses know what they need to be vibrant, sustainable businesses, so we're trying to work that into the code.
Okay, all right, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Director Davison. Hearing's now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of the Town Code Amendment? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to Town Code Amendment? Hearing's now closed. Any discussion by the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? Entertain a motion so moved or anything else?
Mayor Massengill, I so moved.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. What's the board's pleasure on the items on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I approve, make a motion to approve 8A, 8B, 8C, and 8D.
Second.
We have motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administrative report, item 10A, consultant selection, South Park Community Center design, renovation, Parks, Recreation, Cultural Resources. More information about the agenda item will be presented by Parks and Recreation Director Cox. Jonathan?
Again, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider selection of the best qualified firm for the South Park Community Center renovation project and authorize the town manager or designee to negotiate scope and fee. In accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-6431, town staff solicited requests for qualifications for architectural consultants for the South Park Community Center renovation project on June 9th. Town staff received 13 RFQ responses from highly qualified architectural firms on July 8th. Based on the scoring criteria established in the request for qualifications, 4 firms were invited to interview with the town on August 15th. Considering the entire evaluation process, staff determined HH Architecture to be the best qualified firm due to extensive experience with similar municipal community center projects, staff availability assigned to the project, and a demonstrated understanding of municipal recreation center design. HH Architecture has completed many municipal community center renovations and new constructions designs, including Hilltop, Needmore, Town Park Community Center. Management staff recommend the town board designate HH Architecture as the best qualified firm and CPL as the next best qualified firm to perform the South Park Community Center renovation project. Upon selection, management and staff will work with HH Architecture to develop a scope of work and fee that aligns with the South Park Community Center renovation project identified in the FY26 budget. If acceptable scope and fee terms cannot be reached with HH Architecture, town staff will move to negotiations with CPL. As a fiscal note, upon the town board selecting the best qualified firm, management staff will attempt to negotiate a fee and a fair and reasonable price consistent with industry norms. Town management and staff anticipate bringing a negotiated scope and fee with terms to a future town board meeting. FY26 budget includes funding of $200,000 for the South Park Community Center renovation design. The recommendation by motion is to designate HH Architecture as the best qualified and preferred firm and CPL as the next ranked firm to perform the South Park Community Center renovation project and authorize the town manager or designee to negotiate scope and fee. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Jonathan, what's the time frame on once they go to work?
We hope to bid the project probably April or May and start construction August of 26.
Do construction about a year from now then?
Yeah, about a year from now. We
I think
anticipate
construction be, what, a year?
depending on scope. We haven't gone through the design process and identified everything that needs to be done. Probably anywhere from 9 months to 12 months.
Yeah, well, I figured being it
Yeah.
took us that long to build a brand new one, so to renovate one's gonna take just as long. So on that. Okay, all right. Any questions for Jonathan or staff? All right, if not, we can entertain a motion so moved or anything else.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we've got an opportunity to come up tonight with a plan on a neat park. We've got a plan to come up tonight on a neat new community center renovation that will complement our existing community, or excuse me, our new recently opened community center. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
We got a chance to look out for some, coming up next for schematic design with Tracy on a public service center. And so tonight's a night of construction and continued construction and investing in our community for what our citizens are looking for. Administrative report, item 10B, Public Service Center Phase 2 schematic design. More information about this agenda item will be presented by Public Works Director Stevenson. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Town Board. This item is to discuss the Phase 2 update of the Public Service Center that you guys approved design for previously. The design team has reviewed our needs for space, and we've identified all the elements that we need to include in this plan. We have incorporated workspace, support spaces, structures, and parking that from our analysis into these schematic designs. So I'll move along to our overall site plan. Now you'll see phasing on this. The plan is to complete this is Phase 2. The plan is to complete all these phases. The phases that are listed here are just construction phases for us to try to sequence work on the project. These are not like project phases. What you'll see here is if you look around the perimeter of the site, you'll see covered storage. Those are your 2.4, 2.5, 2.6 type items. Additionally, in the building 2.1, we're going to have almost double our space for heated space that covers like our critical equipment like street sweepers and sewer vac trucks that can't be exposed to freezing temperatures. You'll also see in the Phase 1 area a major expansion of parking. That's more than doubling of our parking. The building 2.2 includes warehouse space that we had planned for this site, even back as far as our original plan. The existing admin building is being expanded. You'll see that there's a wing that's added there. And it's important to point out that that building 2.2 is kind of necessitated because we can only expand the existing admin building so far because of where all the site elements sit. You know, we've got a major driveway there, so we actually had to move base spaces and additional office spaces to that building 2.2 that you see on the plan there. We're also adding a decant basin there for us to take spoil from water main breaks, street sweepings, and that kind of thing, so we can dewater them on site, and we have a better way of disposing of those. If we move along to the admin building, as you can see better there, that expansion, that's an additional 2 public utilities bays. We're repurposing and moving around some of the other bays inside the site. You'll also see in the existing admin area a lot of space getting repurposed as offices to help contain the staff growth that we've had through the years and that we anticipate over the next 10 years. It is important to point out this is basically a 10-year plan for this facility. This covers about the next 10 years of our growth and encapsulates that. Under the admin expansion, you will see, I've already pointed out the 2 base spaces, the offices. One of the most important things on this plan in that expansion is additional locker room space. We are officially out of lockers at the Public Service Center as we stand here today. So we've been working with our guys to try to be flexible and provide locker space, but that's an important need as we continue to grow. The colors that you see on here are just kind of an earmarking of spaces that kind of show department to department. So the blue is your water bays, the teal is your sewer bay, and then you'll see the streets, sanitation, and debris bays on the other side of the building. So as I spoke earlier, because the footprint of this site is limited, we did have to add an additional building that encapsulates a lot of the Parks and Rec storage space. But so essentially this building is, at least at initial construction, going to be completely Parks and Rec. So you got 3 bays there. You've got you got 2 Parks and Rec maintenance bays, and then you have a public buildings bay, which is is a new bay altogether. The only on the plan west end of the building is some common space where we have covered storage for different materials that we have on site. That won't be exclusive to Parks and Rec, and also that warehouse space that I spoke about earlier. This includes some new office spaces for the Parks and Rec folks, and also a smaller training room there because they will be operating out of that building in the new plan. Just to kind of give you a review of where we stand, maintenance and work bay right now, if you look, we have basically 5 bays on site right now. This plan will move us to 10 bays. That's an expansion of Parks and Rec from their 1 general maintenance bay to 2 general maintenance bays, and the addition of that public buildings bay that I mentioned. You'll have sanitation and debris. We currently have 2 bays we would go to 3 total bays, which that debris bay may become a sign shop or signal shop depending upon what we see in growth as in our transportation side of our Public Works Department. Under public utilities, you'll see you have currently a sewer maintenance bay and a water maintenance bay, and they'll go to 2 sewer maintenance bays and 2 water maintenance bays. This refinement in the design is an expansion of our original scope due to uncertainties in construction costs and in needs that we have found that we have on our site. Our most recent estimated cost for this plan, which includes a 5% owner's contingency and a 3% contingency from the Seymour contractor, is a little bit over $17 million, $17,240,000. The result of this schematic plan is that there's a potential increase from our original $13.5 million budget to $19.5 million to make sure that we have fully covered all of the functions of this site and the uncertainties in the construction market, with things moving rapidly and in the construction market these days. Town staff recommends that we continue to fund this facility with a 2/3 split from the general fund and the utility fund. And we have worked with the finance department to go over all of our financial plans just to understand that we can afford this expansion when we decide to move forward. The schematic design presented here is necessary to provide the level of service that we have identified for the departments that work out of here. This project can be delivered at or near our original budget, but essentially you would be setting yourself up to be back working on this site in 5 to 7 years. Delaying any of the needs just to save budget means that cost escalation and disruptions to the site are probably going to cost you as much as you save in the short run. So this plan maximizes our investment at the Public Service Center. As you remember, it's not a huge site. This plan will put something useful on just about every developable square foot of that site or some support of that. And so, this is what our 10-year growth horizon requires. The good news is that all of the spaces on this site are infinitely repurposeful between the departments. So if we do move somebody out, move somebody in, make changes to help handle that beyond 10 years, this facility is going to be designed to last us a really, really long time. There's really nothing on this site that won't last us for a very long time, and that is not something that we're absolutely going to need. So our management staff recommendation is to ask for you guys for a motion to concur with the proposed schematic design for the Public Service Center Phase 2. I'll be glad to answer any questions y'all have.
Thank you, Tracy. Go to the previous slide if you don't mind, so I have a few comments for you.
Sure.
On there. Basically, we're going from 13.5 million to 19.5, so 50% increase. One forward. No, just one back from where you were.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. There you
go, right here. So basically, 50% budget increase to double our lifespan. So that's a good return on investment there.
Yes, sir.
From 5 years to 10 years there on that. This one right here is the one that I wanted here. And so then when we go to and no tax increase too, which is huge.
Yes, sir.
To get this done without costing taxpayers. Provide them high-level services without having to increase their cost. And that's huge when we can do that. All right, go to your site layout page, please. I had to use my screen over here to zoom in on it to be able to see some stuff. One more back to the overall site plan.
Overall site, yep.
Yep, right there. All right, so when I zoomed in, I was trying to read some of the fine print on there.
Sure.
Even though it says different phases on here, just as you mentioned a minute ago, all of this is not like a traditional phasing of different buildings built at different time.
That's correct. This is for us to manage the construction. Like, for instance, the first thing we're going to do is build a parking lot because we have to have space to be able to build the rest of the stuff. So, yeah, this particular exhibit had our thinking through the construction phasing on it, but this is not a build this phase, don't build that phase kind of drawing.
That's why I was going with it on. That's not there. And so when you go to these individual numbers then on the buildings at 2.1, 2.2, 4.1, that's back to like you're talking about, it's more of a staging of it, not
Yes.
a phasing of it. Same thing right there. And so all of those are new. Anything that has a number with a point beside it is something new that's getting built. So
So basically, if it's got a number on it, it is being either modified or constructed in this project.
correct. Okay.
So basically, the only existing buildings you see that aren't getting touched are those small ones on the north side of the project. Everything else is getting either newly constructed or some level of renovation.
If I remember right, that's an equipment existing building at the north is a is that what
2.1 is the existing equipment shelter. It's going to be expanded as a part of
be
this.
added?
And then the existing admin building is 4, it's being expanded. And then like the salt barn is not being touched.
That's-
The spreader rack shelter at the back's not being touched. Pretty much everything else is new.
All right, and I know we have some storage sometimes on the back of, we store on that site, and I think at one point the police department had to store some stuff there, and we had some variety of stuff. Will that stuff continue there, have more room for it, or?
We have been working with the police department on the relocation of that. We could still potentially accommodate it here, but I think we're gonna be able to move that out of this site.
We'll move it out of there, and again, as we know, previous meetings, the police department's being redesigned.
Yes, sir.
designed Also, on there. You have, as you mentioned, I think you said, we're trying to think of the words you used earlier, anything cut from this project reflects essentially a cut or diminishing services to our citizens right there.
Yes, sir.
So that's why we needed everything here, everything that's laid out. I think this is a good plan here. And this, when you talk about our future for 10 years, what you're talking about is projected service area growth in our area, what is needed for that.
Yes, sir.
Now cover 10 years.
And so we based this on taking our existing 5-year plans and projecting them out 10 years that we go over. And so, we can cover the 10 years. I mean, if we were to slow down a little bit, then maybe you get to 12, but we're really talking about, by the time we get to that 10-year window, at our current projected growth rates, we're going to be looking for relief.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right.
What does relief look like?
That's a good question. It could be, potentially one of the departments moving to a different location or that kind of thing. We've kind of spitballed a few ideas when we get to that 10-year horizon, but nothing's set in stone on that.
I could speak to that. One idea, just for example, would be if the town developed a multipurpose park and had adequate property, it might make sense to plan a Parks and Recreation maintenance facility there that could accommodate future staff growth, even if it wasn't built in the initial phase. And so another opportunity would be if there was an off-site public utilities maintenance facility. These maintenance buildings are designed in such a way that they are flexible to accommodate our largest equipment, and because of that, they can also accommodate our mid-sized and smaller equipment. One thing that I'll add as to the phasing is the sequence of the phasing is based on the input from our designer and construction manager at risk as to the best sequence of work to allow our staff to maintain ongoing operations with minimal disruption through the construction process. This is a very active, busy and tight site, as you know, and this sequence of work and doing it all in a phased manner with one project allows the construction to take place for future growth and operations to meet the level of service while still continuing to maintain the services they're delivering throughout the project.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Manager.
Thank you. I would just add on to that while there are potential opportunities in the future for relief if we didn't do what is proposed here, I would just underscore and point out to the board that there are a lot of economies of scale by doing this as one complete project versus kicking the can and doing things at different locations at later times. There's also the cost increases that we would expect to do construction at later times versus now. And there are efficiencies to having these departments located on one site. And a lot of times they share resources, whether it's equipment, whether it's manpower, to do different jobs throughout the town. And so there is value and efficiencies to having them all located on one campus.
Well, the main thing, 10 years used to sound like a long time to me, and 10 years goes by pretty quick, and with unpredictable growth rates, 10 years could be 5 years. So I just want to make sure that, we're thinking about it.
Yes.
And
That's a good point.
we want to make sure that.
We learned our lesson on that with Terrible Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant.
Correct.
I think, Tracy, what you're telling us is you got the maximum plan here of what we can use with the site, too.
When we finish, this site will be pretty much finished. I mean, there's probably, you could squeeze out little pieces here and there, but, you'd be spending a lot to get any more out of this site than what we've got on paper.
We've gone a long ways from when we had the hill to this facility to now the next steps of it. And we've continued to, if I recall, this original facility was built with no, that's the wrong word I was using for. Original facility was built with as much as we could forecast out into the future of what was needed, and so continuing down that direction right here, so.
Yes, sir.
I think this makes good sense as we can plan and minimize disruption to our citizens for their services. I appreciate you coming up with a plan that we can provide A-plus services to our citizens and not cost them any more money too, so that's huge right here. Any disagreements by board members in regards to this? If not, we can entertain a motion as recommended by management. Motion so moved as recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Tracy, when will it start and when will it finish?
We are potentially could start parking lot this year, although it's looking like early next year, and then everything next year will be a big construction year, finishing in 27.
26, finish in 27. So if you start in January, then you think, so 18
About
months?
18 months, yeah.
Because all the work that goes into it and dealing with all the existing work going on is going to slow it down.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, sir.
Other business, 11A, manager's report.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just a few things to update the town board on in addition to items that were included in your agenda packet. I did want to just share that the staff from the engineering department will be attending the North Carolina Department of Transportation's 3-day annual summit this week. Some of the topics that will be covered at that summit include crisis management and emergency operations, the value of stakeholder and community engagement, and advancements in technology across the project lifecycle, all important topics that our engineering department comes into contact on a daily basis with. And so looking forward to our staff getting some exposure to these professional development opportunities and networking opportunities with the DOT Summit. Our Public Utilities Department will be smoke testing the sewer collection system inside the Judd Parkway in October, and this is all weather dependent. And so detailed maps and public notification will go out prior to this operation. Smoke testing is the best way to find cross connections and damaged pipes in older sections of our system. And typically the older section of our system is inside the Judd Parkway, and so that's where we're going to focus our attention. If we can identify areas where there are cross connections or damaged pipes, we can help to prevent inflow and infiltration, which can long-term be an improvement to our system integrity and also bring our costs down for treatment. So this is an investment that we've planned for in our budget process and look forward to advancing and moving forward. Our planning staff is excited, well, really the entire town operations, but this is coming out of our planning department. We're excited to share with the board and the public that after the success in Rollsville and Wake Forest, Go Raleigh is officially bringing MicroLink Transit to Fuquay-Varina in 2026. MicroLink is Go Raleigh's new on-demand microtransit service. Unlike traditional fixed route service, microtransit operates within a service zone, and we've previously gone over that at a previous town board meeting. By providing on-demand rides within the zone, the MicroLink service operates under a curb-to-curb model, meaning riders may have to walk close by to nearby streets for their ride. This reduces wait times for all riders utilizing this service. MicroLink service will replace the current FRX service and will provide service around Fuquay-Varina, as well as connections to both Fuquay-Varina and Willow Springs High Schools, the town of Holly Springs at specific points, including Rex Hospital, and Wake Technical Community College. And of course, if you can get up to Wake Technical Community College, you can then catch a connection to downtown Raleigh, and from there you can go out to many places from downtown Raleigh. There will be a micro-link vehicle and booth set up at Celebrate Fuquay-Varina, so we invite any of the board members, anyone from the community, to come out to the booth, check it out, and see what this new service will be all about, and learn more information about it at Celebrate for 2026 when it goes into service, early 2026. Public Works. Just want to make the board aware that we recently hired Jeremy Johnson as a street maintenance worker, so we want to welcome Jeremy to our team in the Public Works Department. Fall classes are now in session at the Arts Center. The Nutcracker auditions will be held this Saturday, and Beatlesque will open the fall concert series at the Arts Center on Saturday at 7:30. Some excitement going on within the walls of the Arts Center. Last week, as a part of an ongoing officer wellness initiative, the police department partnered with Kat Entwistle from OSI Institute and Jackson Davis from Warrior Physical Therapy and Performance. Kat led an informative session on nutrition and will be offering ongoing nutrition guidance in the coming months to our police officer team. And Jackson conducted a lower back and hip mobility clinic designed to help reduce and prevent lower back pain for our team. So we're thinking constantly about officer wellness and conditioning and just being in good shape to provide the service to the public that the public needs. September is a month of changes for our IT department. First, I would mention that Ashley Dickens has been hired as our new cybersecurity administrator. This was a position that was added to the town budget or town operations this year, and she starts next Monday. So we're excited about bringing Ashley on board. Sad to report that the time has come. Don Smith is officially retiring from the town effective September 20th, and we'll be celebrating Don's tenure here with the town and his upcoming retirement here in the next few weeks, and make sure we get information out about that as well. Don's been an instrumental asset to our organization and specifically to the IT department. In many ways, Don has helped make us a better organization and a better town, and so he will be missed. But I'm also excited to announce that we did an internal promotion and promoted Patrick Petty to the new Assistant IT Director position, and Patrick will start that on September 21st. So we're excited for Patrick and his new career path and advancing his career with our organization. Patrick's been also an instrumental asset to our department, and he will undoubtedly do great in this new role. And Jason Miller in our IT department will be participating in the North Carolina National Guard's tactical cyber exercise next week, learning how to help detect and defend our networks. Scott Clark, our IT director, Patrick Petty, and Ashley Dickens will also be assisting with this exercise. And so getting our staff exposure to these critical elements of risk that we're trying to mitigate and prevent here at our organization. Our HR department partnered with the School of Government to offer 2 cohorts of the fundamental supervisory practices at the Hilltop Needmore Park Community Center. We had 48 employees to complete this 4-day training, which included topics such as a 365 assessment, navigating legal issues, employment law, managing multiple generations, effective communication, feedback and coaching, and managing conflict. All important skills for a supervisor to have and to know. The classes were open to current supervisors and for those in our organization that wish to be supervisors in the future. So department directors had input in selecting those individuals to participate in these courses, and we plan to offer additional classes this budget year as well for supervisors or upcoming supervisors. So we're strengthening from within. And our HR staff has been working diligently to transition our performance evaluations into a new software program, and we'll be rolling out training and opening the process for performance evaluations this month. And I would also just make note that our finance department this week, our finance leadership this week, along with management, met with our town financial consultants and the rating agencies Moody's and Standard & Poor's to present the town's financial position and our upside for growth and strength and growth in order to get a bond rating for the second issuance of the 2021 transportation bonds. If you'll recall, within the last year, we issued the first $10 million of the $20 million, and this is the second $10 million to complete many of the transportation projects that this board has previously approved. The meetings went well, and we expect to get rating outcomes in mid-September. And I would just finally say, since our last board meeting, we've had some exciting ribbon cuttings in our community that some of you may wish to speak more on in a moment, as well as the kickoff of fall youth sports, which has a lot of buzz and excitement around our community as well. So as the mayor mentioned tonight, some exciting agenda items that were on our agenda this evening, but just generally some excitement around some great things happening in our community. And our community festival is coming up here in October. Celebrate Fuquay-Varina, as well as our fall concert series, food truck rodeo. We got a lot of great things going on, which takes me to some of the other items in our agenda materials here. Coffee with a Cop at the Hilltop Needmore Town Park Community Center tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. We also have the first fall concert for Follow Me to Fuquay-Varina. The Band of Oz is back in town. This is on Thursday from 6:30 to 9:30. The food truck rodeo will be on Sunday this week. This week's jam-packed with events and fun things to do in the community. That'll be from 12 to 4 at the downtown Varina parking lot. The 9/11 National Day of Remembrance will be on Thursday, September 11th at 8:30 a.m. at Fire Station number 4. The International, looks like I skipped one. Nope. The International Festival will be at the Fuquay-Varina Arts Center on Saturday, September 13th from 11 to 3. And I did miss one. The Follow Me to Fuquay-Varina concert for Liquid Pleasure will be back in our town. They're always a fan favorite. And that's on September 11th as well from 6:30 to 9:30. With that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my remarks and comments for the board this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions that you or the board might have. Otherwise, I turn it back over to you.
You know, Liquid Pleasure is a great band, and I recall that band playing at our fraternity in college. I'm sure it's not the same band members today that were around back then, but that is a fun band, along with all of them, and Band of Oz starting back this week. That's exactly right. So, thank you. Commissioner Harris, any comments?
Just McWally's. I had a ball. That was a great ribbon cutting and event. It was really, really nice. I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Commissioner Adcock.
No comments.
Commissioner Watch.
I would just say briefly, wonderful meeting, and it was exciting we had a number of things on our agenda that we discussed in our retreat at length that came to fruition in this meeting. So the sun was, as our mayor says, the sun was definitely shining bright on Fuquay-Varina, and certainly this meeting, and they were very exciting agenda items, and I too really enjoyed McWally's. That was a lot of fun, and I think it's going to continue to add a lot to our community. So that was my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Watts. Commissioner Haynes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, along with Commissioner Wantz, just, how, you, town management heard us during our town board retreat, and definitely, kudos to the board and mayor and board just in general for us being really forward thinking on everything we're doing now, not just looking 5-10 years down the road. And a lot of these other things we're looking at 20-30 years down the road. And then also our department heads and directors taking that on to every project they have coming online, making sure that we are forward thinking in everything we do makes a difference. One, makes a difference definitely for taxes and so many other things. So just doing that, and also, and that helps the community know that, we're really thinking about the future of this town and which way we can go. And then, we have been presented so many working documents, as I say, You know, there's so many things that we brought to the table today that are working documents that we're asking the town citizens on how they feel about these different things. So making sure that we keep the town citizens' input very important to us, you know, not saying that we sit up here and we never listen to them, making sure that they know that we're trying to listen to everything they say and the thoughts that they have on these things that we're spending money on. So definitely thank everybody in the whole room for all they do on a daily basis. And then I'm definitely excited about the microlink transit. You know I was pushing for transit, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and just to hear this microlink transit come into play now, just an amazing thing for our citizens as our town continues to grow. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Haynes. Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
No further comments, I just ditto what everybody said. It was a really great meeting, and I'm glad to see us circling back toward the retreat and some exciting ideas we talked about, and seeing some of those things come up before the public. It's going to be an exciting month or two.
There you go. That's right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Gardner. You know, talking about microlink, that is something we've advocated for, and to have that option down here, and that is government's version of Uber, essentially, that Fuquay-Varina taxpayers are not going to see a tax rate increase or anything like that being provided for that. So anytime we can have microlink recruited down here and not cost our citizens anything, that's a win for us right here in regards to that. McWiley's has continued to have a full parking lot every single day since it opened, and that's great because we needed to be busy and having a room full of people to be able to know that they made the right investment. We all know they did, and they're definitely seeing that, and the citizens are really enjoying that right there. I think I'm gonna have to work hard on my bowling game. Right now my kids are whooping me, but we'll continue to improve on bowling and laser tag, and at least I can tie my bowling shoes faster than they can tie them, so I do win that game when we go on that. Speaking of games and sports, fall sports we're completely full this fall, Jonathan, and both of my kids are playing soccer right now, and resounding effort I'm hearing from the parents out there at both age groups. And then also beside us, one of our practices is track cross country. It's running back and forth right there, practicing running, and so very positive comments on the program right there. So it continues to grow and do good. I know about 2 meetings ago we discussed how Fuquay-Varina's Parks and Rec program was the largest in all of the county. And I had a couple mayors that heard about that statistic reach out to me on that, and they were impressed by that. And also, it shows you the good job that team's doing right there. And that is shown through our fall sports program right there, and so that's good. Many great events that were read out earlier coming up. A busy time right here. It's always the fun thing about the fall. A big kickoff. I know all of our staff departments will be working hard, along with partners in Fuquay-Varina that are working to put on these events with great turnout. And if we continue having this fall teaser weather like we've had this week and last week, every one of these events will be absolute great turnouts right there. So thank you, everybody, for your hard work in regards to that. Manager, I believe we have a closed session tonight. If you tell us about that, please.
Yes, sir. Recommending closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A3, attorney-client privilege, and A5, contract negotiation.
All right, we'll take a motion to move to go to closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Clear the room and go to closed.